Hey, David Brewster here, new episode of 3 for All. This is 3 Aaron Marshall licks from 2012, and I have featured Aaron Marshall and his band Intervals before. It was in a Chordplay episode about 4 years ago, and this is the first time we've looked at some of Aaron's licks. Definitely a dynamite and just badass guitarist. I've been following him since somewhere around 2012, which is when his EP In Time came out. It blew me away, and I've been a fan ever since. And technically this episode was a lesson that I put together for Guitar Player magazine. This would have been around 2017. I pitched it, they liked it, it ended up on the back burner, and then it was never published, unfortunately. So I salvaged the lesson and kind of reworked it to make this into a video here on my channel, just to celebrate Aaron's music and the music of Intervals. So if you're a fan, buckle up, here we go. So I wanted to include this in this episode just basically to give everybody out there a heads up, because I've talked to a lot of friends and students and people on the street about Sheet Happens, and they always look at me like I'm making it up or they've never heard of it. But Sheet Happens, sheethappens.com, they basically release transcription books. They also have CDs and vinyl and merch for various artists and bands. A really cool website. And obviously I bought the transcription book for Intervals' album The Way Forward. I also bought that on CD. That was like 4 or 5 years ago. And then a couple months ago, I bought that album on vinyl from Sheet Happens. So if you haven't checked out their website, definitely scope out sheethappens.com. You can find lots of modern bands and guitarists, transcription books, music, all kinds of stuff. A great website. So the licks and ideas in this episode actually came from a variety of sources. I know that the title I gave this video, 3 Licks from 2012, is kind of misleading. That's actually the year that his EP In Time came out. And then the licks that I wanted to include in my guitar player lesson that was never picked up, and now I've recycled it and made this video. I had trouble finding footage of Aaron playing the licks that I wanted to feature here, so I had to kind of jump around. I think there's a couple from 2017, one from 2018. I think there's one clip from like 2013 or 14 or something like that. But just a heads up, all the music came from 2012. But the clips are random years. Anyway, buckle up, here we go. Alright, the first lick's this wicked slip and slide idea from the song Epiphany from Intervals' album In Time. And the first time I ever heard the song Epiphany, I just started smiling. I just was like, man, this is exactly my music. And if you haven't heard the song before, definitely check out Epiphany, it'll blow your doors off. And this lick is really blurry and slip and slide, you know, kind of idea like this. One more time. So this is kind of a signature lick from Aaron Marshall. It's slip and slide, there's arpeggios, there's a ringing like major 7 arpeggio that happens in there. Really cool stuff. So we're basically using like this little 5 shape right there. That first half of that lick, just kind of sliding that fingering shape around the fretboard. One more time there. Right, so those are just like a whole step apart, and he also shifts way up to that high B way up there. Like that. Now when you get back to this F sharp shape right there, then he starts doing this really crafty like open string thing. So start on that high E, back to that D sharp, the high E open. And then this B down to that G sharp to the B open. And then this E to F sharp up to G sharp. And then this E down to that C sharp. So that... Then you're going to slide this B up to C sharp, and then you're going to answer that with, it's basically an A major 7 arpeggio played backward, and you're sustaining it. Really cool lick. So really slow, we're doing... up that big slide there. Let me do it one more time. So it's really kind of unusual and unorthodox, but it's so cool and melodic, and that's typical in Aaron's music. It's badass. Alright, the next lick also takes place in the song Epiphany, and it's yet another slip and slide idea, and it kind of reminds me of something I learned from John Petrucci, but Aaron added his own twist to it. Something like this. One more time. Something like that. So the Petrucci lick, if I remember correctly, it was something like this, where he was doing these long, like kind of slid intervallic ideas like that. But what Aaron's doing is he's kind of borrowing that same idea, but he's changing notes on the top, which is really cool. Like that. And then slide down to B and do it right there. Then up to C sharp and grab that A note right there to G sharp. And then slide back to A right there and grab that F sharp and E. And then you're going to slide up to that B, grab that G sharp and F sharp. And then grab that B and slide back to G sharp there. So that's like the first half. Right? And when you get back to that G sharp, then this is really interesting. Grab this D sharp on the high E string, and very quickly you're going to do a D sharp, E, D sharp, C sharp. You're doing, it's like this really quick, like tapped kind of phrase. Really slow there. And it's just like this blurry, lick, like a cluster of notes right there. And you put all that together. Really tasty lick, and I love those slip and slide ideas. Okay, next up's an intervallic string skipping tapped idea from the song Mata Hari, and it's something like this. One more time. And it's just like this quick blast of notes. One more time right there. So we're basically string skipping with your fret hand and then following the string skipping moves with tap notes up on the top. So your fret hand is doing this. One more time right there. That's going to feel a lot like F sharp minor pentatonic, which it is, but we're string skipping through it, which is different. And then you're going to tap notes along the 21st fret right there like this. One more time. And it sounds like R2-D2 like freaking out or something. It just has this erratic like computer kind of language sound to it. Kind of reminds me of like Buckethead and some players like that, but it's really cool. Okay, here's a bonus lick, and it's this extended major 7 arpeggio phrase that takes place in Mata Hari, and it's really cool, like this. One more time. And it has this really modern, sound. So think A major 7s, basically what we're doing, A major 7 arpeggios. But he's phrasing with it. So right there, it's A major 7, like think this. And we've looked at that like type of arpeggio on the channel here before, but Aaron's using that as a template for this lick, and he's doing... And then when you get up there, and it's the way he's going up is really specific, and then the way he's coming down is very specific too. So slowly, right? So that's basically all the way through. Let me go through it really slow. really interesting the way it's phrased. You know, the way, like I said, the way he's going up and the way he's coming down is different, but it adds to that phrase. It creates this really interesting moment. Let me do that one more time really slow. And it's like you're falling down the stairs and falling up the stairs at the same time, and then you land on your feet. I'm a sucker for a great arpeggio lick, and there's one right there. Alright, that's going to wrap this episode of 3 for All with this look at 3 Aaron Marshall licks from 2012. Definitely a great guitarist, and like I mentioned during the beginning, I've been a fan and following him and his music for a while now. Definitely, I like Intervals. Their music hits me. It's like, yeah, it's melodic, it's shreddy, there's lots of guitar, it's a lot of instrumental stuff. I think they do have an album that has vocals, but the instrumental stuff's where it's at least for me. And Intervals actually opened for Mammoth, you know, Wolfgang Van Halen's band. I think that was last year. So even though Intervals and Aaron Marshall and his music aren't really household names, they should be, especially in the States here. I think a lot of guitarists out there just aren't really paying attention. And it's like, no, you need to check this guy out. He's a badass. So anyway, leave some feedback and comments. Please subscribe to Nail Lessons, and I'll be back before you know it with more content and material. Thank you.